Uh, how's the braised quail?
Very good, sir.
Okay, and the bacon?
Lapin. It's delightful.
Okay. What is that again?
Rabbit, sir.
Oh, well, I won't be having that. How about chicken? You can't go wrong with chicken.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Miss.
I'll have the lobster bisque and muscovy duck, please. Thank you.
Merci, mademoiselle.
I can't believe the waiter forgot me. I was just here the other day. Yeah, I come here for the crowd. You want to play mistress or second wife? Because it's harder than it looks, believe me. So is her face.
Will you excuse me? I'm gonna go to the restroom to freshen up a little.
Yeah, of course, of course. I think the bathrooms are...
Don't worry, I'll find them.
Oh, excuse me, sir. How much is that duck you just ordered?
$78, sir.
Okay, right, thank you. Can you just cancel my main dish and I'll just have the appetizer as the main?
Of course, sir.
Thank you, merci.
So as you can see from this clip, Dan brought Serena to what seems to be this upscale French restaurant for their first date, and he feels and looks completely out of place. This is not a judgment, it is an observation and an accurate inference, as in the show, Dan comes from a lower socioeconomic status than Serena, so he's not accustomed to upscale places like these and high society etiquette. The signs indicating that Serena is used to these kinds of places is that she didn't have to look at the menu to order. She already knew what she wanted and she ordered with ease. Dan tried hard to show her that he belongs and fits in this space, but it was obvious that he didn't because, you can't really fake things like cultural capital. So this scene from Gossip Girl was very representative of what we call status incongruence or status inconsistency, and how entering certain spaces and being among people of a certain class can expose a sort of mismatch, a disconnect, or even a hierarchy. So before diving into the concept of status incongruence, I am going to talk about the show Gossip Girl. So it was a show that came out in the 2000s. It was depicting the lives of the ultra-wealthy in the Upper East Side of Manhattan, and it was essentially a teen show that was very popular yet quite controversial because of what the show represented. Gossip Girl was more than a silly teen show. It exposed and challenged people's perspectives of class, status, and power, and there were fascinating and sophisticated characters, luxury, refined aesthetics, and elite power depicted. Status symbols were all over this show, from Birkin bags to high society events, boarding school, trust funds, limousines, fit bodies, and vacations in Europe. Now, the analysis I will give will be about status and power within Dan and Serena's relationship in Gossip Girl, and more precisely, the resentment that the Humphrey man held toward the ultra-wealthy and to an extent toward the Vanderwoodsen woman that they were madly in love with. I think that needs to be studied, and not in a way that makes us look at them in a judgmental way, but to make us understand how status incongruence affects the less wealthy and by extension men like Dan and Rufus Humphrey, who were involved with women that were of a higher socioeconomic status. So I'm going to focus for this video on Dan and Serena, but I will talk about Rufus, Humphrey, and Lily in the next videos, so stay tuned. So I'm going to start by introducing the sociological theory called status inconsistency theory, and it was coined by the sociologist Gerhard Lansky. And this theory basically explains that someone's social standing can vary across different areas. For instance, one could have a good job or a prestigious degree but has no family connections or doesn't know the right people that can give them even more social capital. So this person may have the credentials such as an Ivy League degree, but no legitimacy within the ultra-wealthy groups who attend Ivy Leagues and who come from a higher socioeconomic status. Now let's talk about cultural capital in depth to better understand what happened in that first clip I showed you. So the term cultural capital was coined by the French sociologist Pierre Bourdieu in the 70s, and it refers to internalized knowledge of norms, taste, manners, and codes that set you apart from social classes. So for instance, in this Gossip Girl clip that I just showed you, Dan feels and looks out of place in that restaurant because he cannot fake speech patterns, posture, body language, conversational ease, and familiarity with the food and wine options. So it is apparent to the waiter that he does not belong, quote unquote, and even Serena notices, and it makes her uncomfortable because she can sense that Dan is uncomfortable. So what Dan is essentially showing in this space is a lack of embodied ease and familiarity and a lack of entitlement to the space. Serena, on the other hand, embodies the exact opposite, and this disconnect affected their relationship greatly. So stay tuned for part 2 as I dive more into Dan and Serena's relationship.